Good morning. Today is Saturday. It is the middle of June. I don't know the month or I don't know the date exactly. I'm going to do this quick because I'm going to try to avoid the mosquitoes. It's Saturday. I'm in Vermont. I am going into the Greater Five Bogs on the far eastern side of it today, looking for sign in there. Kind of an odd day because it's the middle of June and it's basically not even 48 degrees today. It's actually kind of cold. Reminds me of a day last year when I got briefly snowed on. But that's the plan for the most part, and we'll see what we have and go from there. So we'll be back with relevant reporting as we find something or we don't. So let's hit it. Okay, we're back, and as stated, it's kind of oddly cold today. That was not what I wanted you to do, but whatever. Our goal today is really just heading into an area where I think there was a nesting site a few years back. Kind of have a look for signs of life. It's not really any guarantee for that, but past history. So far, this area, this year, I've been through the 5 bogs already. I kind of usually start out that place in the beginning of the year and then branch out. I've been to the west of here, kind of working the lower end of the overall region, and then I've also been up, I forget the name of the road already, but it's well north of here, not quite into the Manitow area, but parallel to there. That's an area that might warrant a revisit. That's a large area that I started just barely tapping into. I do intend to do an overnight at the pond I was at 2 weeks ago now, and that'll be interesting. I am regretting not doing bug spray though. There are mosquitoes out here today, and I'll have to keep an eye on that. It's the middle of June. I've got goosebumps. It's like literally 48 degrees. What else? I am a little irritable because the local area back home is still not accessible. I'm wondering how long they're going to milk that. But that just kind of forces me to concentrate in this area more. In the not so distant future, I'm going to endeavor to do a couple of weekend overnights for night operation related things, and as I make my way through the ever popular grabber bushes. And I'm going to make my way north. At some point this month, I am going to make my way to the overall Manitow region and start operations up there too, as I scout areas north of there as well. So that's going to be a second in a series of 3 extended overland hikes. The first one was, I'm not going to say thwarted, but weather kind of changed my plans. I was going to spend the night, but at the end of the day, the conditions, bear with me for a second, were calling for hail, and I only had a hammock to sleep in. The combination of those two didn't really suit me that well, so I wasn't really up for that. I find myself being forced into a parallel, but it's going in the direction of the wedge meadow, so that's okay. I can also see the tree line, so we're not far from our destination either. So that's what I have been doing. The northernmost I have, again, to do more research on. Watch that sudden dip there, that could be a problem. And that's The network itself right now is suffering from life issues, as in other members are busy with personal life stuff, so that is what it is, and probably feeling the pinch of the pump. I come up here, but it is definitely more expensive than it was. The price of filling up the car is definitely double what it was a couple of months ago. That's one of what I'm not going to sneak up on anything and crunching through here. Not that I have any illusion of that. Having actually seen one of them go through this area at an alarming rate of speed, mind you, I have to make the point. You're not going to sneak up on them in here. And it does, I'm going to kind of give a half-assed warning to those who do what I do, and you kind of just walk into the tree line and you're in this, which is not, this is not a particularly scary stretch of woods per se, but it does contain bears and moose and things of that. I did actually this week, or this trip, do something I haven't been able to do before. Right time, right place. For all the beaver ponds I get around, I actually do have a beaver on film today. So I'm going to call that kind of a win, because I've not, for all the times I've actually been around beaver ponds, I've only seen a beaver a few times, which strikes me as kind of ironic. But yeah, I've seen one come through here. Watch what my finger does. And cover that much of distance that quickly and not make a lot of noise. Very little, in fact. So that says to me that that is like some apex, that is some apex ambush predator stuff. So the thing to bear in mind is, if they want you, it's 411 time, because that, I don't personally give a lot of credence to the work of Polites, because I did buy his one book on the Northeast, because I know a couple of these stories of missing hikers, because it's kind of local folklore to some degree if you're a part of the hiking community, and I do consider myself part of that. And there's a story from the late 40s of a college girl from southern Vermont who went hiking, and there was an observation. I forget the girl's name. I'm not going to go into, I'm just going to go into the gist of it. I'm going to rip up that root if I come back too. It tried to trip me. Friggin' booby trap. They had somebody observe that she got, first of all, she took a ride from a trucker, which I don't know if I would, I guess they didn't know about hitchhiking back then and the dangers thereof, but the guy said he felt that she was woefully underdressed for the temperature that was there, and all the subsequent investigatory work that went into the case of her being missing led people to the thought that a local trucker had gotten drunk and gotten in a fight with his wife or something similar, and probably run into her and taken out his anger on her. I'm going to get down into that ferny stuff and out of this crap. To listen to Polites, though, a scream was heard off in the distance of a young female way off in a swamp somewhere, where, you know, it's just kind of sort of implied, well, Bigfoot got her. In the actual version of the story, there's nothing of the sort like that. That is the Polites add-on to the story, and this is why I kind of, his work is interesting. It does raise some interesting points in the overall Sasquatch phenomenon, but you kind of have to take a lot of his stuff with a grain of salt, because he does manipulate the events. And, you know, I'm sure he would take offense and probably get all pissy, because he's become kind of a QAnon kook over the time too. And yes, I do find those people to be kooks. Get over it. But any angry comments whining about that in my comments will be deleted, so don't even waste your time. But that being said, you know, from what I've seen myself, and again, this is going by personal observation, not anything he said. If there is a situation where they do prey on humans and they want you and you're out here like this, I would equate it with being out in the jungle by yourself where you know there are hungry tigers. Speaking of beavers, there's a beaver in here somewhere. I've seen a couple things on YouTube lately where people are dealing with grumpy beavers, and I would make the argument they're big and they have those big stapler teeth. I for one would not want to get bit by that, because people have actually died from beaver bites, believe it or not. Somebody took a bite in the leg. I forget the circumstances, but they basically took a bite to the leg, and the beaver got one of the major arteries in the leg, and the guy ended up bleeding out from a beaver of all things. So one should not underestimate the danger they can potentially be if they're pissy and they don't want to deal with you. I don't think they're overall inherently aggressive, but people have a tendency to get overly friendly with animals they find cute and cuddly when they're not, and do stupid things. I would also argue that accounts for the vast majority of bear attacks that concern black bears. I've been up close inadvertently with a number of them, and left to themselves, they go about their business, and more often than not, really aren't that curious about you. Unless, of course, you're cooking dinner at your campsite. Then they notice that the dinner bell's ringing. But so I don't buy into his specifics per se, but I also do allow for the fact that overall he does raise a point that if they are an unknown and a larger, potentially meaner version of ourselves, and they are predatory out here, and let's face it, most primates, if not all primates, are at least omnivores. And to that end, they would then be willing to, and science would back this up, because chimpanzees prey on other monkeys and do eat other primate species. Several documentaries I've seen where they will go after, hunt, and attack troops of, lots of bugs in here, troops of, I forget what kind of monkeys they are, but if they catch them, they eat them. That is the point. So, we're kind of in the monkey spot of the food chain if you're talking like Sasquatch. So it is something to bear in mind. I don't think there are those out there that want to say the thing is a simple primate, like a simple ape. I scream that evidence would indicate to the contrary of that. Major ape populations have been discovered, and like only recently, but when you say discovered, you also have to bear in mind that when we say that, like there was a population of chimpanzees that were recently discovered. When they say that, they basically mean like discovered by the white man who has come back into the area for the first time in a long time. Whereas if you interview the locals, yeah, they were aware of them the whole time. Like, yeah, why do you think we don't go in there? Those big damn things are dangerous. Same thing here. But the point is, they were discovered. Others knew they were there. You know, the locals knew they were there, but others did not. The big guy, on the other hand, has not been actively discovered. And for all the people online telling stories, That's the thing. That's exactly what they're doing. Telling stories, including myself, because there's no active physical evidence. From my own experience, however, they are there. Don't kid yourself. The ones in the Northeast, however, in my opinion, are not these 8-foot beasts. I have made visuals on a pair of 7-footers over time, but I think I've said this before, the male in the family unit is probably only between 3 and 5 inches taller than myself. And I'm 6 feet. 6'1", so that would put him in the 6'5", 6'5" or 6 foot, I mean 6.5 foot range. Big, but not not these like 8, 9 foot monsters that people believe, or that one genius from a group down south. I'm not going to mention their name to get into it with them because they're not worth my time, but you know, who's constantly finding / faking, you heard me, like 3 foot long monkey tracks, which would basically mean you're tracking King Kong. And I say that without reservation because the person, there's this, that is some form of poo. Not having any tracks to go by, I'm not really sure what, but yeah, why don't we just move you? That works. I'm umming too much. But I think that breaks down to kind of like how brown bears go, and population and diet. Again, your inland brown bear, well, it's a perfectly big bear. Then you get into the ones that are like the Kodiaks along the coast that are eating nothing but fatty fish stuff. Those things, by comparison, are ridiculously big. And half the time they don't bother with humans, mainly just because humans don't have enough meat on them. I'm glad I didn't go over there, because if you look at that, that's normally a meadow. Testimony to the fact they've had, hold on, I gotta fend off a mosquito and try to zoom back out. That's normally a meadow, so that's how flooded that is. I wonder if that's going to keep me out of the meadow today. Ow. But out west, where they seem to be bigger, if you go by the anecdotes, I think there's grounds for, once you have, and here's where I preach doing things in the proper order. You kind of do a comparison of what the regional diet is, notably in sources of protein and then fatty protein, to see if there's a reason why the ones out there would be bigger. And I would not be surprised if you found a correlation in the dietary factors. And of course, kind of picking up where we left off last week, in regard to the people advocating the woo and all that, if you want me to even begin that conversation with you, you need to cough up some proof, and no one to this present day ever has. For all the things that you have the YouTuber set of that doing, or they show their fuzzy pictures of bullshit, that's what you're showing. Fuzzy pictures of bullshit. And anytime that you want to prove me wrong, it's not going to be a matter of getting angry over being wrong. I'd be happy to be wrong, but I don't think I am. That was an interesting noise. I don't know what the hell that was. Bear with me for a second. That came from over in here. Speaking of being out in the middle of nowhere, you have enough battery to I'm gonna have to play that back in my head. I don't know that I've ever heard that sound in the woods before. Could have been a weird scraping noise, could have been a bird. It's that tree creaking up there. That's what it is. It's a weird noise though. But again, notice how rather than just like immediately attributing it to Sasquatch, I go the route of like, okay, that's actually a tree. And there's more of that poo too. The easiest way in here is to go over there. Rather than going all around all this shit, let's see if I can get out into the meadow or if that's all hopelessly swamp. Which may well be the case, but let's do some recon here and see what we're getting into. Yep, that becomes water real quick. Never mind. I'm not as willing to get my feet wet when it's this cool out. Just not smart from a woodsmanship kind of, I guess we're going to go up and around. Yeah, it's kind of annoying, but also, I guess it's necessary. We'll go up and around this tree and back around. We're parallel to the meadow. We're not really losing anything. I really don't feel like trudging through that swampy whatnot. Trying to think as we go if there's any decent rumor mill shit in the community today, but I'm not aware of any. Again, what's his name was apologizing for lack of activity because, boo-hoo the gas prices, which this week have actually seemed to level off, at least in my area, at the 480 mark. Specifically the 489 mark. If I had to, I think this actually leads right where I want to go. It's also probably muddy as hell. And then therefore Mosquito Central, it's one, yeah, fuck that. I'll parallel it, but I'm not going to go on it. I don't really feel like sinking up to my knees in mud either, so we'll go around this and then make our way in and accomplish the mission. Ironically, that way is also the way out. Yeah, he was making, I'm sorry, but I see that as kind of making excuses here. On the one hand, I will say that this is a hobby for me. But on the other hand, you get results through consistency and through diligence in the effort. And there are going to be times of adversity where you are not going to have perfect conditions. And we're seeing a little of that today. But there's truth in that, and then there's a little bit of hyperbole too, because the cool air, actually, when you're moving, you're not sweating up a storm. But I got to kind of navigate this nonsense and get back down lower. And this is becoming kind of a pain in the rear, so I guess we're going to kind of zigzag through this a little bit. I have a stick on my back. Get out of there. Sorry. Sorry for the rough handling of that, but I was being assailed by a twig. Looking down there, I see deer tracks, but only deer tracks. Moving on. Another good reason why you parallel second odd noise in here. A stream bed is that you can see kind of what's been coming through by way of the tracks that get left. Sooner or later, I'm going to, I guess I am staying relatively parallel. Not in a straight line, but zigzaggy. Yeah, I'm sorry, I kind of see that as making excuses for not being out. If you are a casual Bigfooter and you are more the enthusiast than a researcher, damn it, bear with me while I go through this eye poker stuff carefully, then you know, you do it casually. There are people that have kids and all. I get that. That's the situation with one of my members. He's got young kids, and therefore it's not the easiest for him to get out every week, which is his consistent reason for not being able to. I need to go that way and that way, so let's get over there and then work our way that way. Let me be careful of the rocks too. Yep, see, that one wasn't freaking stable. And it sets me up to get jabbed in the back with that stick. Thank you. This abrasion to your back has been brought to you by that damn stick back there. May it kiss my ass. Alright, if this shit could kind of mellow out a little bit, and I could make my way over there, we would be... I think it gets a little bit better from here. But, minus sinkholes. Fun. I just hit a sinkhole. Interesting thing in these like rocky, rooty areas. I don't think they're overly that deep, although I have had one where I went up to my knee in it. A little bit, actually up to my thigh a little bit. And it'd get better if I can get out of these damn rocks too. I'm getting all chewed up by this crap. So as you can see, this isn't all glamour. Not that you would have thought it was, but I don't really think there's anything else much going on in the community. Summer seems to... You normally would think that winter's a slow time, but I guess gas prices are a factor for some. Nope, that's a nice big thick cut. No, it's just a long cut. I'm okay. Oh, you fucking bastards. Eat shit. I need to get out of this stuff. Okay, I need to... I'm not going to go up there because then it's a steep entry point into the wedge meadow. I don't want to do that per se. But I'm not really fond of this fucking grabber bush shit either. I'm trying to parallel through the ferns, if that's doable. And for those who think I'm just kind of aimlessly going zigzag through the woods here, I actually do sort of kind of know where I'm going, at least in the sense of the general direction. But there's these damn bushes are, for one, they grab at you, and two, when you have like deadfall underneath them hiding, you can't see it. Then you trip in this shit. And that is how you potentially get injured. I'm kind of like going off course, which is annoying me. But, c'est la vie. Yeah, I think we've covered plans, and we've covered making excuses for other network members. Kind of not really accepting the excuses of my neighboring group. But then again, there are a couple in that group I suspect probably are getting out because they are made of sterner stuff than the leadership is. Like any larger group, they're going to have a mix of personalities, and two of them are survival trainer types. And as a result, they are probably made of sturdier stuff than, god damn it, the leader. I guess we're going downhill. Let's minimize the grabber nonsense. How do I go around this thing? Downhill, apparently. But I'm getting dangerously close to the point where I'm talking smack, and that's not really my intended goal. So I think I'm going to take the excuse to kind of go into a segment break at this point as I figure out how to get through this stuff. I'm trying to get over there, and I'm kind of distracted right now, so I'm going to do that, and we'll be back in a bit. Okay, this is where I have to eat some crow. I have angled wrong or something. The meadow should be right there, and obviously it's not. It is more fucking trees, pardon my French. So this is going to be one of those times where we kind of like call it on the count of safety, because I know the way back, not the way forward, and I'm going to operate on that premise and head back. So the annoyance being, if I got out and had less wind to put the drone in the air, it'd probably fly right over the goddamn thing and see it, which may be the plan of the afternoon. But we're going to call this one and head back, and we'll report once we get to an area that we know better, because this isn't what I thought it was. So I'm going to admit, damn mosquitoes, that I don't think I am exactly where I thought I was, and I'm not going to further confuse the issue. So this is a time to learn a lesson, folks, and we're going to start heading back the way we came. Get back to the other bog, which is still in the line of sight, where I have a navigational kind of marker I can use, and then I'm going to work my way back and up and out, which is probably going to take longer than I care to admit, just because the nature of that terrain sucks. But no one made me come here, but I am here, so if you want to get out, you do that which you need to do. So that is what I'm going to do. And and I'm going to make an observation as we go, too. If you look, I probably can't present it here, and it kind of looks like there's a opening if you look over that way. But it's an opening at the top of the trees, where if you look over here, I'll try to zoom in and make a point here. Damn it. I hate this camera sometimes. If you can see there, and you look out, and I'm making my point correctly, if you look lower in the trees, you can see the opening. And that's how you know you're heading back towards the meadow. And that's the way out. So again, before I get too turned around and actually need to rely on my Zoleo, because another point to be made, that doesn't look that thick, but the point to be made, if you had somebody looking for you in a helicopter or the like, or they're looking for you with dogs, and you actually were heard out here, they're not going to find you in 5 minutes. So in a case like that, one would make the argument that you're going to be here a while. So get comfy and enjoy the mosquitoes. I don't intend to do that, though. I'm going to get back to the meadow, because even if I get to the wood line there, I know I can follow that out. And when you're not sure where you're going, but you know where you've been, I'll probably beat on that a few times before we hit the tree line here. It's better to play the conservative game and not get thoroughly turned around, because unlike where I got turned around in November, actually I think it was it was a week before Christmas. That area by comparison, I was probably going to find my way out. And again, in different weather, I would probably not have called for help. I would have just offered the wisdom of that moment probably just toughed it out if it was a warmer day or it wasn't raining, because I got turned around, but minus the potential for hypothermia. I really don't think I was in any great danger, minus the cold getting the better of me. But as far as like the actual conditions out here, you've got a lot more unknowns, and it's a bigger area. So if I wandered that way, you're wandering into, well, you tell me, thicker woods. Going this way, I know that the Beaver Pond former meadow is this way, and I can bank a right, and that's going to take me back out, minus this muddy shit I just kind of walked up on. It's going to take me out to, as opposed to the ball game, take me back out to the logging road where I can have an easy walk back to the car. But that's, again, if I play it conservative and I don't, once I get through all this undergrowthy shit and mud, because I'm kind of walking up on the wetland right now, and I don't want to do that. I also don't want to die ankle deep, or sorry, thigh deep in mud. I had that one happen last year, and I wasn't, again, in any great danger, but it's one of those things where you have to basically prove your higher intelligence over another animal and not panic and kind of think your way out of the fight of the Chinese finger trap. That's kind of the logic I would throw at that. And basically in that time what you have to do is basically, I'm going to go straight up there because I can literally see the way out. And this is more or less what I did last time at this sort of kind of angle. So we're going to do that because I know this is the way out. But you basically have, I guess we're recounting past mishaps. Fair enough. Basically you have to get over the notion you're not going to get a muddy ass. And you sit down and then slowly pull your boots out, because if you try to do it with too much force, you are dealing with a suction and it will take your boot from you. And even if you get it back, once it's off your foot, it's going to be full of mud, cold, wet, shitty swamp mud, and it will never be right again. So it's up to you if you want to have that happen. But I kind of stand by my current decision to find my way out, because I don't want to get too turned around, because I have better things to do today than embarrass myself in front of the Forestry Service, and I can see the holes in the trees over there. Unless that's actually more of the meadow, but that's okay because you're still parallel to it. We'll find out in a moment when we get over there and through this loveliness. If the nature of the terrain doesn't get any better, I am going to have to take a segment break, because I kind of need to see what I'm doing. It's like where I'm walking. But it's hard to tell if that is or not. We're going to go over that way though. We're still not going in the wrong direction either way. But fucking mosquitoes are going to be the death of me. Oh, I fucking hate these things. I think we're just paralleling the... That's okay though, because like I said, it's still that way, the way out. What were we just doing? Okay, so that is Beaver Pond. So the way out is more or less still this way though. And once we get through this patch of gravel stuff, you can see what you're doing for a while. So we're going to do this. And I can't see where it opens up, so we are more or less going the right way. So I would just like to minimize. Again, if you look over there, you can kind of see the opening in the trees up there. Damn. One day I'll get that smooth. But yeah, the way up is kind of like up and over the hill. So, Beaver Pond, goodbye. And we're going to make our way up and out. So I'm talking what, like, we go this way for about 200 feet. We'll hit the road at some angle. And that's our way out of here. Sounds like I'm wrapping up a Survivor Man video. But anyway, yeah, let's go this. Okay, yeah, I think I'm going to take a segment break and focus on navigation for a bit. And to that end, we'll be back in a bit. So, let's check the time. It is an hour later, and I just did a classic going around in circles in the undergrowth because it's that thick in there, and it's as thick as it looks. And I'm amazingly not covered in bugs, spiders, or chewed up that much. But this is our official outro. I broke the chin string to my hat, and we're done. It is too windy, I think, off and on for the drone. I'm not going to waste, not waste time out here, but I'm not going to risk more mishaps. And today was a testimonial as to how easy it is to get turned around in dense undergrowth. So we're going to call this one here. I'm going to kind of play back in my mind where I screwed up. I was never not where I kind of thought I was, and actually did find the wedge meadow, thinking it was the other meadow. That's how turned around I got in there. So we didn't call the Zolio. We were getting to the point where that was on my mind, but we're on the road. And unlike the last time this happened, where I did call for help, this time I toughed it out. And an hour later, we're going home. So, yet another misadventure and navigational things that gone wrong. Of course, I didn't pull out my compass. I do have it on me. That might have helped. It's another example of, I've gone in here before. I know which way I'm going. I wasn't that far off the mark, but by that same token, I was enough off the mark that I was off the mark. So, there you go. So this is where I'm going to wrap things up. Like, subscribe if you are of the spirit to do so, and I am going to catch you on the next one. Next week is the week before the 4th, so I'm not, the 4th, I'll probably do an overnight over the 4th weekend, because I think we have that Monday off. I try to get another day off too, if I could. We'll see how that works out. Until then, we'll catch you next time. Bye.